Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Thunder Today YouTube channel. I am your host, Dylan Hibbard, and Game 4 of the NBA Finals was last night, and it was just another all-timer. And, I mean, you can't get enough of these type of games, and the Thunder come out on top of this one, 111 to 104, in a game where it kind of felt, for the most part of the game, it kind of felt like the Thunder were playing from behind, and there was a very good chance we were going to go down 3-1 and we were looking at this series a whole different way. But kind of my initial thoughts on it were, I mean, we'll kind of go over how Shea kind of went off in the fourth quarter and cemented his legacy, or at least another game to cement his legacy along this title run. We'll look at the three-point shooting because that's going to be the big story from this game on how bad the Thunder were at from deep compared to the Pacers and how they kind of stuck around. And then we'll look at OKC's Big Four, and you might be wondering who that fourth person is, but you probably already know if you watched the game. But last night was Game 4. It was in Indiana for this game, and then we'll be back in OKC in Game 5. But kind of talking about this game, we look at it, and for the entire first half, it just, at least when we first get started in that first half, it felt like the Pacers couldn't miss a shot. I believe by the end of the first, they were shooting like 9 for 12 from the field, and it just felt like even if the Thunder were playing magnificent defense, that the Pacers were somehow getting a better look and just hitting every single shot they put up. And early on, it was like, are we going to be able to even keep up with them, because they were still applying so much pressure to Shea. J-Dub hadn't got going, and another big note was that the Thunder kind of switched back to that double big lineup. We talked about how the first 3 games of this series, they took Hartenstein out. We were contemplating whether or not Hartenstein was kind of dealing with an injury or not, but apparently he wasn't, and they were just kind of switching up. Well, last night they went back to that double big lineup, and you look, and we win by 7. So, and like I said, I predicted that we were going to win by 6, so I was right on point with this game. Kind of, I was expecting us to kind of have to play from behind in the first half, but I didn't expect it in this sense of, it just felt like we were playing good defense, but they were just getting off better shots, and that kind of demoralizes you as a team because you feel like you're playing a good defensive possession for 20 seconds, and then they get a shot off, and then it gets the crowd riled up. I mean, that nearly half-court 3 by Tyrese in the first, when he hits that, I'm like, are you kidding me? We're going to be in for one of these type of games. But the Pacers came back down to earth, and things got settled throughout the game. And for the Thunder side of things, as we kind of transition into this next topic of Shea, this was a big Shea legacy game. Like I said, I thought Shea would drop 40. This would be one of those games where he cements himself as an all-time player, and he did just that. He only had 20 points entering the fourth quarter, and he only had 2 free throws. And by the end, he didn't even start scoring in the fourth until about 4:38 left, and then he racked off 15 points, outscored the Pacers in those last 5 minutes by just himself, 14-7, and that's just kind of what you need from a Thunder team that is so young. They need that number one option to go out there and prove that he is there, and he is a great player. He finished with 35 points. Actually, funny enough, this was the first game since since 2020 that Shea has not had a game with 1 assist. Shea finished with 0 assists. He had 35 points and 3 rebounds. But you look at everybody else, Shea didn't really need to pass the ball. We had Hartenstein starting. He was moving the ball. You had Caruso, guys like J-Dub, everybody moving that ball around. So it wasn't necessarily like Shea needed to pass the ball all that often. It would have been nice for him to at least move the ball around a bit more, because it felt like at some points in this game, the Thunder were just relying on iso ball, and that's just not how the Thunder play, nor should they. And I mean, this Shea game, I mean, this is one of those where if the Thunder can pull out this win and win the NBA Finals, you're going to come back to game four and look at how the Thunder performed with the back against the walls late in the fourth. At the start of the fourth, the Thunder were down by double digits, and that just shows how important, how well they played in that fourth quarter. And a little bit of it is Indiana just kind of choked it away. Mathurin gave away 5 free throws within 20 seconds of gameplay. So if you're the Pacers, that one sucks because, like most people are saying, people believe now that you choked that away, you gave all the momentum to OKC, and now OKC's in prime position to go back and win that title. But transitioning into our next topic, well, the big topic of last night's game was the three-point shooting from OKC. They shot 3 for 16 from deep, only 18% on the night. And usually in this day and age of basketball, when you do that, you're not going to end up winning games like this, especially against a team so good as the Indiana Pacers. And the Pacers were lighting it up from three. It felt like every time they were getting those looks from three, it was going down. And from the Thunder side, I think we just couldn't get those shots to go in. I think it's a lot of confidence with these guys. I just don't think they were confident in shooting those tonight. And it showed when you only shoot 3 for 16, but you win a game by 7, that builds up your confidence. You're like, we're not going to have another shooting night like that again the rest of the finals. So you have to feel good if you're a Thunder player or a Thunder fan on how the Thunder approached this game. I mean, it felt like if they weren't hitting a 3, they were making it up by hitting just 2 tough mid-range shots or finishing at the rim. J-Dub had an amazing game. We'll talk about that here in a minute, about how J-Dub, Chet, and Caruso all kind of helped Shea along, and it was just massive for the Thunder how if the three's not falling, Thunder are one of those teams where if it's not falling, they're not going to just shut down and just keep continually shooting those and rely on trying to get going from the three. And they'll get downhill, they'll get to the mid-range attack, get to the line, and find other ways to win this game, and they did. I mean, you look at this game from a three-point standing or a three-point shooting stance, and it's just two totally different sides. And if you're a Thunder fan, you got to be so excited. You got to be so optimistic about how this game ended with how poorly they were shooting. So just from that aspect, you got to look at it like the Thunder most likely won't shoot that bad again. You're going to have Caruso shoot a little bit better. You're going to have people like Wallace shoot better. Chet will shoot better. So it's just something to keep your eye on as we go into Game 5. The Thunder, the role players will shoot better in Game 5 because you're back at home. You got that crowd behind you cheering you on. So we'll see how that goes. And then the last point I wanted to talk about was how the new Thunder Big Four kind of showed up for this game. And you know the Thunder's big three of Shea, Chet, and J-Dub, they all went off. Chet had 14 and 15, a big game. You had J-Dub give you 27, Shea give you 35. But the third leading scorer for the Thunder was Alex Caruso. And this is his second 20-point game of the NBA Finals. And he is the first player in NBA history to score 2 20-point games in the finals after not scoring 20 at all in the regular season. And that's just crazy to think about. Not only that Caruso didn't score 20 in the regular season, but that he is a playoff riser, and he's just the glue that has held this team together. It felt like there were points in this game where the non-championship experience was getting to some of these players, and then you have Caruso draw something up, and then he gets a good look from three, or whether it's a driving layup or just a good assist to a good look. He just has that championship pedigree. I think that a lot of people continue to underlook on this team, and I just think he has been, without a doubt, probably the best offseason signing. I mean, you trade a guy that you weren't really excited about using and getting. You just trade him straight up for a guy that has made the biggest of difference in this NBA Finals, and not only has that championship pedigree, but just has that decent defensive edge and dog in him. And it was so exciting to see from a Thunder perspective that you have guys like that that can just come off the bench and give you that type of energy and that experience that not all the other players have on this team. But that is going to do it for me today. Let me know what you guys kind of thought about this game in Game 4. It was another all-timer. This series just continues to show that you don't need big markets to have a great NBA Finals. 3 of these 4 games so far have been so fun to watch, and we're not even close to over. I know that people are going to say, oh, now the Thunder are going to win this in 6. They have all the momentum. I would not be shocked whatsoever if this goes 7. And, I mean, it could very well be a thing where Thunder win at home, Pacers win at home, and then Thunder win at home again. And it just proves that home court advantage with these two teams is so significant. But let me know what you guys think down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.